Isaac, today is August 6th. The Ter Stegen issue is also starting to become a concern because obviously the player has an important contract. And Barça was hoping that with this injury and the surgery he had, with the player being out for X months, to have his contract available in order to register initially, or at least John Garcia. And then, have you already talked about it on your channel? Barça also hopes to be able to register Marcus Rafford, if I'm not mistaken, Chesney, and Ronnie Bargi. With the other operations that are underway, that is, with the very important person box operation, the BIP box operation, which still needs to be authorized, hopefully in the next few days, by this company that has to accredit it, even though it has actually been accredited since December. But the league needs to validate it so we can have everyone registered. But the reality is that today, on August 6th, nothing has been done in that regard. And I'd like you to tell us, Isaac, and the whole Barça community today, so what's the situation? What do you think will happen in the next few hours? Things will obviously occur, regardless of whether you convey calm or not. Miguel Galan was with us briefly yesterday and reassured us to stay calm. But you know, this is something that has the whole club nervous. So everything is up in the air. So you can tell us, Isaac, yes.
Well, let's see. The very important person seats issue has been going on since December, January, since the operation was done. And there was an interim auditor who was an auditor for a few weeks. From the dismissal of the previous auditor until the hiring of Crowe, who has been frequently mentioned, an interim auditor was used for operations. So did this auditor authorize the Spalco very important person operation as a sale? As they say straight up, like when you buy a house based on the blueprint before it's built, you pay for it upfront. And then after a year, after 2 years, whenever, you move into the house, you live in your house, and so on and so on. So that's how that auditor saw it. The new one said, no, that the operation wasn't right, that it was necessary for them to be done, at least for the entries to be made. The seats had to be installed at Camp Nou, regardless of whether it was open or if people could watch games there. That's what this auditor was asking for in this case. The seats have been there, I think, since the end of May or the beginning of June. In fact, supposedly, and that's what the club says, that's what the very important person seat operation is about. Has the auditor already accepted, included, or validated it? I mean, the auditor has said they're built. LIMAC has provided documentation saying, hey, they're built, I certify it. So for Crowe, the operation is validated. What happened? Usually in the league, and then when you do these kinds of operations, like the Congo deal, this one, the television rights back in the day. Anyway, when you do operations, you send the documentation of
the operation.
I mean, if I make the transfer of a player, I send you the transfer documentation. If I sponsor, I send you the documentation and the league validates it. What happened that this time, I don't know if I should call it a coincidence, but anyway, the documentation has reached the league, and what the league has requested is an extra report, that report. So talked about in recent weeks. And what happens is that, of course, it's not just about the operation. Now, what the league wants is all the documentation, like from July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025, including all operations. Well, that's what a report of the entire budget is, with all the entries included. So what happens? People say, but how can a report take so long? Damn, Ezra, I mean, Adri, sorry, we're talking here. How many weeks does it take you to make a report for the club that then goes to the league of from July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025, how many transactions, including payroll payments and transfers, has Barça made? It's absolutely everything besides this operation, the Nike contract. Of course, that can be done in 2 days. It takes 2 or 3 weeks. So, well, we're just waiting, and that's the feeling the club is giving off. It's like these very important person seats are treated as if it were a video game. To move on to the next level, first you have to get through level 1 before reaching level 2. To reach registration, you must first complete seat validation. Without validation, we can't proceed to the next step. So that's why I think the club is just waiting to get to this audit, which is supposed to happen between the end of July and the beginning of August. We're at those dates now. It's also supposed that, as has been said since the Asian tour, this week we're going to have some positive news. The first registration will be Joan Garcia's, and Ter Stegen's situation won't be needed. Is it true that with Ter Stegen's case, we could have Joan Garcia's registration already? So You already have it because of the injury. You register him, and then over the next few weeks, you gradually return the fair play that the league has given you to register Joan Garcia. That's why Laporta said it was the fastest way through the injury. Since the league lends you fair play, you register the player and return the fair play to the league within a month. That's it. But of course, the club, I understand that I want to do things, even if it's a little slower, but to do them in quotes, right? And that's how we are with this impasse, where, as you said, there are 10 days left before the league starts. And here we are. It seemed like we were going to have a quiet summer, but once again, here we go.
Here, there's always trouble, always trouble. I understand that with the extra boxes, with the cups, sorry. It's enough for all of us. I mean, for all the players, we have to write down.
In the end, yes, the whole thing about the seats or the boxes or whatever you want to call them, because in the end, it's just about the very important person seats. That's it. It's not a deal that works for this summer. It's a deal that was for last year. What happens is that, of course, if they don't validate it for you, that hurts for the summer. The 100 million didn't come this summer, but last year, which aided in renewing Gabi, Cubarsí, Pedri, registering Dani Olmo, and handling Pau Victor's situation. Anyway, all of that was included in last season before June 30th. From now on, the club only has this season's budget. The deferred salaries of Messi, Jordi Alba, and Busquets are absent this season. Are there better revenues when it comes to having Bureau of Land Management's records? All these things are beneficial in terms of fair play and budget. So what is it that somehow prevents being in that one-to-one regulation and being able to register normally? According to the club, the issue is with the seats. They say you must first close the previous budget stage to be in this budget.
To unlock, right? To unlock?
Exactly, I understand too. So it's a kind of block, which isn't really a real block, but it's like a kind of block. It's like saying, hey, until you close that, we can't move on to the next step. So that's what's happening. That's why the club says it won't be necessary, that with what's been done, the departure of Lenglet, Todibo, all these players, Pablo Torre, Pau, Victor, that none of this will be necessary. So, well, at this point in the club, the media and journalists convey a sense of calm, but the reality is different.
Well, the
People too. I understand it, Audrey. After all, we've spent many years where we've also been given a sense of calm. And in those final days, we try to stay calm, but eventually there's a point where you lose your patience, isn't there? So, of course, since we've lived so many years with that uneasiness, I understand that people will say, yeah, calm, another year of calm. Perhaps in 3 days, the 5 will be registered on the league's website when it appears.
Exactly. Let's hope so. Let's hope that's the case.
That's right. We need to stay calm. And, well, I want to add,
Upon that,
you mentioned 4 players. In the end, you said Chesney, Joan Garcia, Ronnie, and Rashford. Gerard Martin will also have a first-team contract.
okay.
Okay, great. Gerard Martin too.
Well, perfect. But anyway,
It takes up relatively little space. There won't be any problems with it. Gerard Martin will have a first-team registration date this year after being registered with the B team last year. It's good news for him and shows the trust being placed in the player.